position that he's going to help us navigate kind of all of the things that you need to be doing in your whole life, your workout, your training, your eating, all this kind of stuff. And I'm kind of like really underwhelmed on that part because it's really not there. Every time we talk, it's kind of mostly about recruiting, which is fine. So I'm like, I wish you'd have just said that, but like,
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I think there's a market out there big time for these kids. Like, just we're not recording, right? This is
No, no,
secret.
no, no, no. This is
Yeah.
no.
Well,
This is
well,
Well,
well. I did decide to go live here real quick, but it's not like it's not a live public
no. This
link
is
right
for
now.
this is
This
for
is
us. This is for us.
pre-recorded.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna tell you, like, Shaw committed to Loyola Marymount
Yeah, I saw
about,
that. Hmm.
I don't know, it was about, let's say it was 2 weeks ago. I don't
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
3 weeks.
yeah. I saw it.
Well, all of a sudden, and he's a junior in high school, and they're kind of getting towards the end of the season, but coach reached out to him, I don't know, 3 days ago, and is like, "Hey, what do you think about graduating early and coming out here in the fall and getting started?"
That's
And
cool.
Mm.
well, as a dad, it's like super cool on one side that he thinks that much of him, right? Because that's really
Yeah.
what we want. We want to go to he could go probably and wait this summer and go to bigger places, but in this college environment with transfer portal and as crazy it is, it's just, and the draft's going to get even smaller next year. So more guys in college baseball. It's like we want to go to start somewhere where we're really wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
so, it's full, it's an $85,000 school. It's full
Mm-hmm.
ride, it's fully covered, it's amazing education. So anyway, it's like of course, Shaw's all about it because he just has this, it's kind of like he's like, I know I'm not that good yet, but I want to go there and get good. If you're going to help me do that, let's go. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's just eager to learn, right?
Yeah.
But on the physical side, I mean, he's made some nice gains. He's probably weighing shoot, I mean, I bet he's 180.
Mm-hmm.
But like, coach is like, not in a bad way, but he's like, you probably need to put on like 15 pounds before next
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah.
And it's like that physical part is a little bit like, can we actually pull that off
Yes.
with,
Mm-hmm.
naturally, wink, wink,
Mm-hmm.
um, and all that, but
Yeah.
like, it's all to say, like, I would say the food and nutrition part is such a struggle for so many high school athletes because
Yes.
they're not really around. The high school gives nothing, and
Mm-hmm.
he's having to work around kind of being in school all day
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
and not getting really like it's just hard to eat. And
Yeah.
then the training is like they're just going through the motions, but then and it's some physical exhaustion. So he has a kind of a personal trainer that does some baseball guys around here,
Mm-hmm.
and he really likes that guy, but it's so hard to get there. It'll be easier in the summer. But anyway, that's all to say, like, I keep thinking, I got a really nice home gym downstairs right below this office. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, if we could just get guidance on eating and guidance on
I
what
know.
you can get done,
Right.
we don't need to be places and stuff. And it's
Exactly.
like, so I might be reaching out to you after this.
Yeah.
He's literally he's trying to figure out how to graduate high school early, and I think he's just figured he and my wife have just figured it out.
Yeah.
We're kind of strangely like, sounds good to us. Let's go.
Yeah. 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 No, I mean, this is exactly the conversations that I'm having
Yeah.
with some
Yeah.
parents because number one, with the portal, college baseball players are going to be more physical.
Hmm.
And so you're going to stand out by being physical as well as skill, but mostly physical. So you want to make sure that you're confident in your physicality when you're
Yeah.
competing against these guys.
Yeah.
And then like the challenge with high school nutrition is the schedule. They go
Yeah.
early in the morning and then they forget to eat and stuff like that. So one of the things that Cullen is doing really well is not so much the food exactly, but the timing of things. So
Yeah.
he has a snack in the morning. He has something in his backpack. He'll have a
Yeah.
snack in the morning before
Yeah.
lunch. Then he has lunch. He has a snack before practice, and then a
Yeah.
big meal after the game. And the dad and him are pretty good in good relationship where they're doing a good job. I mean, this
Yeah.
kid. So I started with him in the fall, and with the program, the lifting, and all. I gave him all that stuff. This kid
Yeah.
gets up in the morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. He lifts before school, before the team
Yeah.
workout, and
Right.
he's put on 15 pounds
Yeah.
from like October to the
Yeah.
beginning of January.
Yeah.
And it's mostly the timing of the meals, because you got to find things that they like to eat, anyways. And that's the struggle that I still have with my son. Is
Yeah.
it's not so much you got to eat
So
protein and this. you gotta
And
have
I'm like,
you gotta have
you
calories,
gotta
man.
think of, you gotta think of food as fuel, man. Like it's not
Exactly.
even- like it's just not about how good it tastes or this and that, but like it's
Exactly. Yeah.
anyway, I feel the struggle. But anyway, I was just telling you that
No,
I
that's
may
cool.
have.
Well, yeah, no, you know me, man. I do anything for you. You and Kinsler are my
Yeah, no,
boys.
I mean it might be good timing to reconnect with you and stuff because it's kind of cool. Like, he's still growing up. He just turned 17 like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it's like for me as a dad, I'm like wanting him to grow up.
Yeah.
'Cause not that he's like super mature, but like he's in that in between, like
Yeah.
taking for stuff and like it's crazy in the last 3 days, I've seen this new kid come out that's like, I don't know, there's this confidence of like, I'm gonna figure this out. Like I've never seen him study so hard. And I was like, man, if you studied as hard in school as you are to figure out how to graduate early, you'd be going to Harvard, dude.
Yeah.
But he's just
Yeah.
so engaged, and then coach is just really cool. He's just like, hey, if we get him ready and he plays as a freshman, which I'd love to see, great. If he needs a red shirt, great too. And Shaw's like, yeah, I'm learning in the meantime. And
Yeah.
you can see that like eagerness. So I mean, I feel like the weight training and the eating, I mean, it's gonna scare him into it anyway. It's
Hmm.
gonna be like, and he doesn't need 20 pounds. I mean, I think honestly that kid at 190 I mean, he's a shortstop, second baseman
Yeah.
guy. So he just needs to work on his explosion and all that
Hmm.
kind of stuff. So like just kind of he's probably 70% as strong as he really could be. So
Yeah.
it's the strength too. So anyway, I think he'll be super motivated if we go through it. We're not totally decided, but we're kind of leaning towards it. But I didn't want anybody to know that because his high school coach does not know that yet. So
No,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
good. You're
Yeah.
good.
That's gonna
we
screw
need
up.
to make sure
Yeah.
we got to keep our option. We get our option to come back here open, although it doesn't sound that great. So anyway, I was like, oh, but anyway, I haven't told anybody
Yeah.
what's going
Yeah.
on.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
But let me just put it on a podcast.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Real quick, would you like a link so that you can follow along? I mean, do you have two devices with you?
So I can follow along.
Well, so you can see what you look like, and if you want to compose yourself in different ways or whatnot.
No, I can see.
Yeah,
I
you're
can
fine.
see
Gotcha.
myself. I can see you. I don't like that I can't see.
That's what I
Jose.
mean.
Oh, you
If
can't see me? Oh, I
if
thought
I
he
can
could see
send
me.
him a link, then
Oh, okay. Okay.
so you'll be able. You
Okay.
won't be able to see it on Zoom, but you'll at least be able to see the link unlisted. So I just texted to your phone. Are you using your phone for Zoom?
No, I'm on my computer,
Perfect.
but I can be on my phone for this. So
Correct. Great. So turn the volume down on it, and you'll see it'll be about a
dang,
10
this is
second delay.
professional.
You like that?
Yeah, we got a cool little studio
Dang.
here.
My podcast looks like crap compared to yours.
Oh, and I don't have my props today, but the lighting in the studio is pretty cool.
Oh, that's nice.
We got a whole setup in here.
John, I gotta sit up straighter and like
Yeah, I
It's
know.
okay.
Well, like I told Kevin, it's like, hey, you know what, man, I'm learning every time I do one of these, how to look at the camera, not to forget to look at the camera, and all that mess, So it's just good practice. So
yeah. Well, I enjoy it, man. Like I don't mind. To me, this is almost like I get to stop working for an hour and like relax. So I'm happy to do it, man. So
yeah,
Awesome. Well, here, real quick, let's go ahead and start
we
with
good?
our regular intro.
Okay.
You'll hear some intro music there, Mr. Jenkins, and he'll say a couple words to start the show. At the point that he introduces you and I have you on screen, you'll literally hear me say, Mr. Jenkins, you are live. Welcome. All right.
all right.
Okay, so let's go ahead and minimize this. Give me one moment. All right, Jose, ready?
Hello, guys. This is Jose Vasquez with Baseball Strong. Welcome to another episode. One of the things that I want to do is create a series of podcasts of dads and sons. You know, what does it take to have that relationship with your son when you navigate the world of sports? Today, I have a special guest, a friend of mine, Ben Jenkins. He's the owner and co-founder of Warstick Bats, Warstick Baseball. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about today is not just his brand, but also what does it take to build a ball player. And welcome, Ben. You there?
Mr. Jenkins, you are live. Welcome.
Can we hear him?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Seems like
I may have a lag going.
He's got a lag. He's got a little lag.
Because he asked me.
I hope you don't have the YouTube video turned up. Turn the YouTube video down.
Yeah, I don't have that. That's just on my phone and I have it down. But what's weird is he said hello to me, but then after that, you came and said you're live.
Correct.
So anyway, if we're good, we're good.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, go ahead. So welcome. So, you asked, why did I want to have you on the show? So first thing, obviously, talk about Warstick, how it came about, just a brief explanation about your vision, a little background about you as a player. You know, people don't get into baseball without having played the game. So little background on Warstick, little background on you as a baseball player. But most importantly, what I really want to talk about is your relationship with your son, talk about your experience, the process you guys have been through. And my goal is to help other dads and other players that have this similar situation where they have a dad that is involved, that is helping. And so that is really what I want to focus on. But first, introduce yourself, give me a little background, talk about Warstick, talk about yourself, let us know who you are.
Cool, man. Yeah, I'd love to talk about me and my son. That's actually a topic I don't get to talk about a lot. And obviously, the reality in my life is I spend way more time with that than I do.
Exactly.
Well, it's not way more time. I spend a lot of time with Warstick as well. But obviously, I spend a lot of time with him. So it'd be really fun to talk about him. But just to get some context, you're right. I did play baseball back in the day. Nobody really asked me about that much. But, just grew up here in Texas, playing baseball, playing football, ended up playing in high school, and I ended up playing University of Oklahoma for a year. And then I played 3 years at Mississippi State, which was incredibly challenging, one, and also kind of changed my life, obviously, because it's an incredibly fun place to play. But also, helped me figure out what I ultimately was going to do in my life, which was really become a designer, like an artist, a designer. That's something that I'd always nurtured behind the scenes while I played sports. Kind of a weird combo, but that's who I was growing up. I was kind of an artist at home and I was an athlete out in public. So Mississippi State really helped me combine those two things. And I played a little bit of minor league ball with the Phillies. And that didn't last very long. I'll give you the sob story like everybody else. I hate to say it, but I got hurt, man.
Yeah.
For my rotator cuff, but it was one of those things for me, like a lot of guys. For some reason, something clicked in me when I got hurt that I didn't need to go keep pursuing it. I just knew that I had this other side of I kind of felt lucky to have a talent that was completely different than, my sports talent. And I just went straight into that. And I went to grad school. And then that led to I started a design firm that we focused on branding for the most part. So I would design, I would help name companies and I would design what their identity systems look like, their logos and stuff like that. And I did that for a long, long time. until maybe age 34 or so. It's been a long time. I got a little burned out of just the client side of things and kind of I loved the work, but I just kind of got bored of I don't know. There was something in me that kind of wanted to start my own brand. I had learned a lot about from the clients about, you know, being an entrepreneur. I'd seen it from the other side of the table. So I had this little itch to give that a shot for some reason. Not thinking much of it at the time, thinking it was going to be kind of a hobby business. And so, I went back to baseball because it's something I knew. I knew the lingo, and I got the idea to make baseball bats. So kind of figured that out and launched a little company, and came up with the name myself and the logos and the designs of the bats and all that, and found someone to help manufacture for me and stuff like that. And again, I wouldn't say I thought it was a joke, but I was like, I didn't have much belief that it would actually go anywhere. So for about 3 or 4 years, it actually worked pretty quick, pretty fast, and started selling some bats. And 3 or 4 years into that, I realized it could be a real brand in the baseball space, especially. So I met your old pal Ian Kinsler from the Texas Rangers. He was at the Tigers at the time, and randomly another guy named Jack White, who is a really talented musician, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
Yeah, I
guy.
was gonna say Rock and Roll Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and Saturday Night Live
Yeah, yeah.
last he's around town right now. But anyway, that was just kind of an opportunity to work with two fantastic guys as mentors. They funded kind of the real start of the company, and we took it really seriously from there. And then I never worked as hard as I had worked in my life. I mean, had I known how much work it was actually going to be, I don't know that I would have took it on. But I think that's the athlete in us. When you take something on, there's something in athletes kind of innate in us that's like it just becomes competition, and it becomes the grind, and it becomes I don't really I mean well, my wife would probably say I did complain about it, but athletes in business have they have an extra gear to tap into that just keeps you going. And so it's been tremendously hard at many times, but it's really paid off, and it's really grown. And it's kids these days, if you go to a 10-year-old, 15-year-old kid, they're probably going to tell you, yeah, I know about that. And it's one of the metal bat brands, which is a much more competitive market than wood bats where we started. So, and then I've been doing that now for, I think I'm going on, I think that was about 10 years ago that I
Yeah.
met Ian and Jim. So we're about a decade old, which is crazy to think about. So, and the bigger we get, the more problems we get. More money, more problems, they say.
Yeah.
But it's also just gets more competitive. So, but I love it. It's super challenging, and just no plans to do anything but keep it going, man. So that's what I do. And then I have kind of getting back to my son. This is my third son. He's my youngest. My older sons played baseball and football in high school, and one of them is about to graduate from Auburn as an industrial product designer, and he's extreme. He inherited all my. He's a really good baseball player, but he's way heavy on the art side. Fantastic artist and designer, and he's already working for Warstick designing products. So he's about to graduate from Auburn here in May, and he'll be working here full time. And I'm lucky to have him. I was afraid I was going to lose him because he's got all kinds of job offers, but he tells me that Warstick is the coolest option. So I'm excited about that because just working with my son will be fantastic. And then I've got my middle son's at Texas A&M studying business, so we're hoping that he gets back to us someday. And then my youngest son is kind of the sporty sport of the group. He's as the younger brother may turn out to be sometimes. He thinks he's 28 years old and he's 17. And I asked him what he wanted to do in college and a couple of years ago, and he just looked at me and said sports. And I was like, uh-oh, which one? He's like, I don't know, football or baseball. I'm just going to keep playing and figure it out. And so that's kind of what we've been doing for the last couple of years. And through, broken collarbones and, you name it, we've been, doing the dad and son thing. And it's just crazy how much harder it is to be the dad than it is to be the player, I think, because especially maybe as an ex-athlete, that competitive, like you try not to live through them. You don't want to do that to an unhealthy extent, but like it's so hard not to be there and seeing what they're seeing, and always trying to remember that they're on it. Their story is not your story. But you have your experiences that are always going to play into it. So you're just trying to guide them as best you can, I think is the best word. Not push them, but hold them accountable because that's really what they want if they want to achieve things and stuff. Man, I'm super excited to talk about it because it is, I'd say it's one of the more challenging things that I've ever done in my life. And to maintain the good relationship with your son while doing it, it's the most challenging
Hmm.
part.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. So, before we get into your son, tell me again the significance of the two stripes. People always ask, what do the two stripes mean? I know you got a meaning for that.
yeah. Yeah, and we teach kids, so we try to work with, we really focus a lot on the youth. My thing as a baseball player was, this comes from being an artist. It's what makes me a good designer is I'm a complete perfectionist. Let's say not complete. I'm a perfectionist.
Hmm.
That's not a good thing to be as a baseball player in
Yeah.
a game of family. So for whatever reason, and what I struggled with in baseball was to be consistent, which is what Ian Kinsler and Michael Young and guys like that became great at. It wasn't so that they were physical, freaks of nature or anything, but they learned how to be consistent. They learned how to see failure as opportunity and see failure as a guide towards what they can learn to do better. I didn't understand any of that when I was a kid at all. I was absolutely a perfect example of like a fixed mindset person. So a lot of Warstick is, yeah, we make products, but we're always trying to encourage the warrior mentality. And for us in baseball, that is like a Michael Young and Ian Kinsler and the ability to stay in the moment. And so we teach kids that one line represents the past, and it's like realizing, hey, it's over. Learn from it. Not don't drag it into the present. And the other line represents the future, and it hasn't been written yet. So, in hitting especially, it's about being absolutely present, which ultimately equates to being ready, and being in the moment. So it's funny. I've designed hundreds and hundreds of logos in my life, and well, I guess technically this has to be the simplest one, but um, it's been very effective. So yeah, and I like that it has meaning, and so it's even on our bat, and so kids can even use it as like a focusing tool to something simple to look at and kind of bring themselves back into the present. But yeah, that's what it means.
No, that's awesome. So, like, again, so let's 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 take your experience as a baseball player, as a business owner, and as a dad.
Mm.
How do you use that? How do you use all of that to relate to your son, to coach your son, to navigate all of that as being a dad? How do you put all that stuff together? In your
I
in
don't
your
know.
in your own opinion, because I mean I know sometimes we don't have words for what we do, but
Yeah,
as a dad, you take it all in. I mean we coach, we father from our personal
yeah.
experience, from our drive, from our love for them, and so how do you put all that together?
I don't know, man. I certainly didn't have a roadmap other than, um, my dad, who's still a mentor of mine, was as I obviously had him. I had the experience of having a dad that encouraged me. His kind of thing was always, if you're going to do something, do it right, which he told me he got from his dad. So it just there's the little things that carry into like that inner voice that you have that just does that, well, maybe some days you're not, but you then kind of hear him doing that. But he was always so supportive of anything I did, almost to a point of I didn't ever seem like I failed. So maybe it pushed me to believe that I was better than I really was, and I ended up being better than I should have been. I don't know. But I don't even know how to answer your question, Jose, because honestly, like I don't being a father is the most intimidating. I mean, I have an incredible wife who teaches them to spell and have great grammar and do good in school and all that. I just do the cool stuff, man, like camping, and I got to inherit sports and all that kind of stuff. But I just think for me, one, it's you just can't help but bring your experiences into it. And I didn't even really intend for them to play sports. Most of their youth when they were growing up, we spent getting outdoors and surfing and fly fishing and camping, and I just felt like that was, I knew how grueling sports can be and how much pressure it can
Hmm.
be and how much your identity can get wrapped up into it. And so I was like, if my kids are going to play sports, I mean, obviously I exposed them to sports when they were kids. We played the soccer, we played the t-ball, we played the Pee Wee football, and it was kind of like if they're going to gravitate towards it, they're going to do it. But I also never wanted them to feel like, oh, just because dad's dad was a baseball player, that they needed to do that. Because I just feel like in life, you need to find your own path and you need to find what you care about. Because I did see a lot of kids that I grew up with hate baseball by the time they were 18 because it felt like something that was pushed on them or maybe pushed too hard on them, and they unfortunately just kind of got burned out of it. So I was very wary of not doing that, to the point I was like, I was okay if they're going to be a little raw, by the time they get even recruiting age, if they're going to be a little raw, so be it. Raw is better than burned out. So I think one of the things I did well as a father, whether it was on purpose or accident, was my kids are very well rounded when it comes to the rest of life. And I think that actually helps in sports, because if your identity in sports is all like my value is the results of what I do on a field, it's gonna be a tough life in baseball,
Hmm.
you know. So I think that I managed to do a good job on that end. But then, you turn around and you have a kid like my youngest son who just, I mean, all growing up, he didn't want to do any. I mean, he not that he didn't enjoy the outdoor stuff, but he's like he always wanted to be throwing a ball of some type. I mean, he's like he just wanted, and that's how it should be. If your kid drags you out into the front yard, your job as a dad is to say yes. Your job isn't to drag them out into the front yard, you know? As much as you may want them to do it, it's not gonna, I don't think this is something that you can force and then end happily, So I always, no matter what I was doing, and I work at home for the most part. So if that kid said, I'm gonna go throw the ball or I'm gonna go hit, I just stopped what I was doing and I said yes. So, and then you let them lead you from there. But then as it gets more complex, obviously, and the lessons of the game start to come
Hmm.
in, we draw on our experience and what we learned and what we failed at, and try to find this balance between telling them the truth, but not discouraging them too much, but also not, when they need to work on something, there's a tactful way to bring it up, um, so that they'll listen to you. But man, I would say the funny thing is Ian Kinsler and I joke about it all the time. I think I read somewhere. I mean, I think it's just true, but I think kids from age 14 to 22 or something are genetically predisposed to not listen to their parents. It's part of the it's part of how it's part of their programming to survive and to learn to survive on their own. So I can tell my kid something, and then obviously Ian Kinsler can tell him the same thing, and he's all ears with Ian, where he's like kind of halfway listening with me. So sometimes Ian and I will like, I'll go, hey, can you tell my kid this? He's like, and then he'll go, hey, can you tell my kid this? And I'm like, well, you're Ian Kinsler. He's like, it doesn't matter. I'm still his dad. And it's crazy. It's Ian Kinsler. And it is true. Like his kid, sometimes that's just what we need. So us dads kind of work together like that as well. So I've learned those little tricks.
Hmm.
But it's always this fine balance because any kid is a growing, developing brain, and it's like you forget we tend to compare them to a pro or to a college kid, and you forget that well they're only 15, they're only 16, their brain's not fully developed, they're not their habits for the most part aren't going to be the same as a D1 athlete at age 15. So it's working them towards that, but also making sure they even care to do it, man. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like if they care, then you have a problem of, okay, how do we do this? And
Yeah.
then that's where you start to rely on also getting help. I don't do any of this by myself at all. I mean, he's got a crew of people helping him from all different angles of, we do our defense with this person, we do our hitting with this person, and sometimes this person, and sometimes Ian, and sometimes me, and then there's food and eating and lifting and all this kind of stuff. So it's just like it can be information overload as well. So you're also and you have to be careful of that, like that we're not doing too much. So
Hmm.
as you can see, I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah.
But um, he's my youngest son is committed to play D1 baseball, and he's a high school junior. So It's a big accomplishment because, thinking back to age 12 or 13 when he told me that, I thought, okay, maybe. Yeah, let's see. So it's cool to get there. But you realize too, like the work doesn't stop and it's like almost starting, sometimes you get what you ask for. And
Yeah.
so then there's a new pressure to go, okay. He said, hey, I don't want to just get there, which I think can happen. Like a lot of people think, oh, I'm committed. Like I did it. And I'm like, yeah,
Hmm.
wait till you get there and see,
Yeah.
see, right? So he's got a great, my kid is very, I said, we were watching some kids the other day. It was like a high-end scout team. And I said, hey, man, all those kids are like SEC commits. And I go, how many of those do you think will play as a freshman? And he goes, oh man, it's tough, huh? And I said, yeah, I think it's like 5%. That's not good. And I said, but why do you think a lot of them won't start? And his answer is really good. He said, because they aren't going to do the enough work before they get there to be ready. So sometimes he'll say things like that. And I think he's much wiser than I give him credit for sometimes. So I'm glad he has that head on his shoulders, because I'll always nurture that.
Yeah.
So
Well, to highlight a couple of things that you said. So I remember the first thing you said was being well rounded. So you exposed them to the outdoors,
mhm.
other activities, making sure that that they experienced life. A lot of parents, a lot of kids, sometimes they just specialize or they hone in on something a little too early.
Yeah.
Baseball is so hard. I'm still of the opinion it's probably the hardest sport, and because there's so much failure, and
Yeah.
most people want to succeed at everything they do, and you're not going to. So
Yeah.
being well rounded teaches you different skills, different outlooks, different opinions,
Yeah.
and you can learn from all those experiences. You can learn from the outdoors. You can learn how to fly fish, surf. Surfing requires a lot of balance, a lot of athleticism. So there's a lot of things that you can gain from different sports. So I think it's always been something that I tried to do with my son is to expose him to different sports and different activities.
Yeah.
And that's important. As a father, I think that you're doing your kid a disservice if you're not exposing your kid to other things along the way, because you don't want to make baseball the number one priority, because that's a killer. That's a killer. And
Yeah, it's almost like baseball, especially. I think you don't want to do that. It's the most dangerous one because of the failure aspect. I'm always admiring anyone like I meet. I always go to Michael Young, who was really Ian's mentor. However, that guy developed into that guy, like he looked at me in the face and told me that when he would fail at something, he didn't worry about it. He actually was like, he would almost visually see a door to the right or left of it that would tell him which way to go. And like, that's kind of the goal.
hmm
And I think that can be learned. I think my kids pulling up to a Walmart and camping in it and figuring out how to get camp set up and problem solve little things like just problem solving and stuff and learning, or having a flat tire in the middle of the desert or something. I mean, problem solving and just going, yeah, it just leads to things. So like I said, I mean, I wholeheartedly, you do not, cannot say it enough. You do not want your identity as a human to be tied to the success or failure you have on a baseball field in any given moment or night or week or year. It just needs to be even a master of something doesn't define themselves by it. You can master something as a skill, as something you do and that you're part of, but it doesn't need to master you.
hmm
Because it just creates too much pressure. You're not going to be free to perform at your highest level when you see it like that.
hmm
I doesn't mean you can't be a fierce competitor at all. So I just think, um, you know, growing up, I mean, yes, I've always carried the multi-sport flag and I carried it up the hill with this kid as high as I could,
hmm
until he actually did this past after his junior season tell football coach that he's done.
hmm
and that's something I really didn't expect us to do, but I had to let it go. Um, and I just realized it was more about the journey and things we got from that. It wasn't a destination, you know. So, because it is just getting what I don't like is that when I don't mean to be the old guy, but of course, when we were kids, we still had seasons, and we would play baseball,
Hmm.
and then that would end, and we would cry and be super sad for a week, and then we'd be like, "Oh man, oh well, football's coming up." And
Hmm.
then we play that, and we were all in, and we didn't even think about baseball anymore. And then that would end, and we'd cry, and it felt like the end. And we were sad, we missed it, and then basketball started, and we were okay again. And
Hmm.
I just, I hate that that doesn't exist for kids anymore because my childhood was just tremendously fun. It was like being at summer sports camp all year round. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And all the athleticism that we were building, and all the different skill sets, and all the different ways to compete and stuff. So it is so hard these days. Even if you're, I mean, it's possible, but it's just like extremely hard to do the multi-sport thing.
Yeah.
Um, more. And it is, specialization is just where it's gone. And the problem is not just baseball, it's every sport's now specialized year round. Even when you play football, they got you playing 7-on-7
Mm.
in the that's kind of what we ran into. He's like, dude, my arm's gonna fall off. I'm like, I agree.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, when he's like, I have college baseball offers, he made a business decision that, like, from a health standpoint, I can't do this. I can't really focus and do this as well if I'm also doing this, not to mention that the risk of injury, and we've had our injuries.
Hmm.
Uh, it's a lot. So yeah, I mean, just having perspective and the main thing, all that amounts to, I think, is the main point of, like, don't let your identity be. It sounds crazy. I want to play D1 baseball, but my identity isn't a baseball player. Yeah, it's not.
Hmm.
You're gonna be a lot happier if you can separate those two things. It's just my occupation. It's just what I do, you
Yeah.
know. Um, so
Well, to highlight that too, right there, identity.
mm,
I just had a conversation with a parent on a potential client uh, that one of the things that his boy is 10 years old, so he was asking about workouts and things like that, and I thought, that's great. He's going to need that, but the one thing that you need to do as a father is to teach him and walk with him that his identity is not on the results or the success of him being a
mm,
good ball player.
yeah,
Is his identity is going to be in the kind of man that he's going to become.
yeah,
And what you want, in my opinion, the biggest value of baseball is learning how to deal with failure, how to
yeah,
problem solve, and how to separate your identity from that sport. And
yeah,
so that's one thing. It seems like you've preached to your kids, and you've had three kids, all three different. All three took different paths. They probably all had different personalities and things that they focused on, and it seems like you navigated that and you facilitated whatever their passion or whatever their interests were. And I think that's a big message for parents. Instead of pushing your kid in a certain direction, maybe perhaps pay attention to what his interests are, pay attention to what his passion is, and then try to facilitate that the best way you can.
no,
That's a big
I
one.
think I think you're 100% correct. Interest, passion, what they care about, their whatever that is that's it. It's your interest. Put it aside. The dad, I mean, um, you just have to. Someone told me one time, it's like it's not your story, it's theirs, right? And I'm like, oh, so it's not what I want for them. It's going. I did however I figured out, or someone figured out for me. I had this my head. I was like, my dad has a job to help them find what they are about, whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be something I really don't want them to be, but like it ultimately, that's what we want. We want to find out what we're passionate about, and then hold them accountable to understanding all the things that go into, mm, taking care of themselves to do that thing or whatever. So it is. It's like you got to pay it. Like even brothers, you would think, oh, I mean, and I think when I own a baseball bat company too, everybody's like, oh, you have three sons? I'm like, yeah. And you live in Texas? Do they play baseball? I'm like, yeah. But they don't need to. Like I one they kind of did until they didn't. And then this one
Hmm.
is the one that he's deciding. I mean, look, man, my life would be a lot less stressful if he didn't, because if he didn't, there'd be a lot more surfing and fly fishing
Yeah.
and who knows what. So I really love for him that he's the one insisting to do it. And that's why I'm okay with him doing it. And the way that he's learned to deal with failure is also why I see in him the possibility of taking this, oh, who knows how far, because I think he has those traits in him that say he just doesn't get bothered that much. He's not perfect. He has his moments, but on the grand scheme of, you know, 1 to 10, when one is like I lose my mind every time I strike out versus a 10 who just, like you'll see big leaguers strike out and like, I mean, I don't know. I always think of Manny Machado, man. I'm like, no matter what that guy does, he walks off the same way every time.
Hmm.
Like, and it's kind of like my son's like I mean, he's a good solid 8 in there. I don't know that it had anything to do with it, but like that's where I say, hey, that's the most important trait you have in this, despite the fact that you can be a shortstop and hit a ball 101 miles an hour at 180 pounds, that's really good. I mean,
Hmm.
that's good. But if you didn't have this part and you were more like on this side of the spectrum, it's not really going to matter in the grand scheme of things. So I'm super happy for him. That I wish I was like that when I played. I mean,
Yeah.
he can roll through the punches, man, and he can truly like see an at bat for what it was, right? Like the result isn't necessarily the feedback.
Yeah.
Did we do the things that we were trying to do? Did we barrel a ball? I think he truly can go. I mean, trust me, when he hits a line drive to center field and it gets caught, he don't like it,
Hmm.
sweat it too much.
Yeah.
He sweats it just enough. And he knows better than to like, I mean, it's happened a lot to him this year. And it's like, uh, don't change anything. Why
Hmm.
would you change anything? You just hit a laser.
Yeah.
That's really what you do. So he has that kind of he has that. So I'm like, hey, you might could really enjoy baseball on the other hand.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You to be able to do that. So but I don't know. Maybe that's being around. I mean, he's been really lucky. He's around Ian Kinsler. Like Ian's almost like an uncle figure to him,
Hmm.
right? So it's really great in your life, whether it's your dad or your fake uncles or whoever it may
Hmm.
be. I mean, we learn those behaviors from, just who we're around and we're lucky and we get that kind of feedback. So
Yeah.
I don't remember what the question was anymore.
Yeah. Well, another thing I want to point out, a couple of things you said and just now. So number one is it seems like this is something that I encourage all parents. When you talk to your kids about their game, don't focus on the results.
Mm,
Focus on the in between things, like when you strike out, walk back to the dugout, put your helmet down, put your bat up.
yeah.
A lot of times, and this is something I pointed out to my son really, really early on, when kids would strike out, that run off the field, run off to the dugout, crying or upset. No,
Yeah.
when you strike out, same face, you walk back to the dugout, you put your stuff up, you go in the
Yeah.
corner if you want to get mad over there, you go do your thing. But you know,
Yeah.
big leaguers when they strike out, they just walk back to the dugout. And
Yeah.
so your body language when you fail, it's a big deal to me. When you're hitting well, when you're hitting the ball hard and they're still catching it, hey, I did my job. My job was to barrel the ball, hit the ball hard. If they catch
Yeah.
it, that's on them. So
Yeah.
learning those things, emphasizing the process, not necessarily the results. Just because you go for four, that doesn't mean that's a bad day. Sometimes you
Yeah.
line out 4 times, and it is what it is. And so I encourage parents, fathers, focus on the process, focus on the in betweens, not necessarily the results. So that's a big one. It seems like that's one of the things you've preached to him, and obviously is working out. So, but even then, as an adult, when we fail
Yeah.
at business, when we fail in a situation, we're gonna have bad days at work. What are you
Yeah.
gonna do with that stuff? And One thing that I want to point out is your work ethic, the way you go about your business, the way your kids are going to notice
Yep.
that hard
That's
work.
what I was gonna say. They're
Yeah,
watching you.
exactly. And so as a dad, you can't preach to your son things you couldn't do yourself. So
Yep.
if you're the type of parent that's in the stands yelling nonsense and you expect your son to be a professional on the field and act like it, then you got to act like it in the stands. If you want your kid to be a coachable kid, you got to be a coachable parent. Your kid can teach you things. He's the one hitting the ball. He's the one seeing the pitch. He's the one making the play. If your son tells you, "Hey, this is what I saw and this is what I felt," you got to consider that. You can't just jump on them and start telling them what to do. You got to consider what they're seeing, and they're teaching you things too. So if you want your son to be coachable, you got to be a coachable dad too. You got to receive feedback from your son as well as give it. So sometimes parents forget that. And so it seems like you have that kind of mindset with when you talk to them and point out the good things. Hey, man, you know what, man, that's a good swing, as opposed to, hey, man, you didn't get a hit. So
Yeah.
it's important for parents to remember that. And I hear it all the time in the conversations that I have with parents after the game, or parents that come to me and ask me questions about some of this stuff, and I'm like, well, that doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the way he looks on the field, the way he does this, he does that, not necessarily that he can hit. So, I mean, that's
Yeah.
cool. I mean, obviously I want him to get results, but you get
Yeah.
results when you do all the other things well.
Yeah, I mean, it's why scouts, college scouts, and scouts go to games mostly to watch all the in between things that you're mentioning, right? They're there to watch a kid because they've seen video, they see the swing, they've seen this, but then they want to go watch their approach to the game and their approach to things in between at bats, and they almost want to see them fail to see how they handle it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what they're doing, and then yeah, your point about, I mean, I'll give myself a solid B at this. Got better as I got older, and I had already he was my third son, so I had my practice sons and
Yeah.
stuff, and they all have different personalities. But I mean, it's like, okay, I'm gonna tell my kid to eat properly for what he's trying to do, and then I'm gonna turn around and be 15 pounds overweight, 20
Mm-hmm.
pounds overweight. Why would he listen to me? Like, you got to be the example in so many ways. How you
Exactly.
handle failure, how you handle challenges when things go bad,
Mm-hmm.
and when your house burns down, which we had.
Yeah.
I mean, it is everything. Your kids are watching everything, and you are the example, and it transcends baseball. So you really do. A lot of parents probably that you may deal with, maybe sometimes it'd be turn to look in the mirror and be like, I don't know, how would you react to how you're talking to your son or what he's seeing just from an example standpoint and things like that. And so start with that, um, and try to be a good example. But like none of this that they're trying to do is easy. So no one's going to be perfect father at all. And maintaining that relationship is difficult. But yeah, I remember you made me think of a certain thing I did do with my youngest son, um, early enough that I think it turned into a, a learned behavior. Was he's very competitive. I mean, he loves to compete, which is part of why he's so good. Like he really truly wants to beat you, which is, kind of a good trait to have. But there were times when he'd be 10, 11, maybe 12, where something wouldn't go right or something like that. And I would see the body language change. And, I started noticing that. And I was kind of like, well, what's happening there and stuff like that. And, I had the dad talk with him like, hey, you can't you need to learn to always look like nothing's bothering you. And it's actually going to tell your subconscious that you're okay too. It's actually for you as well. When you do this other thing, you're telling your coach that you don't think that you can do it. You're telling your teammates you don't believe in yourself. And we did this little thing because I noticed too, to his credit, like kids don't always notice that they're doing that. Like they can't see you like you. I'm looking at them. I see the body language, man. So I did this little thing with him sometimes, and we made an agreement. I said, "Hey, I'm not gonna say anything, but if you look over me and I'm kind of like doing this, I think I did like this. It was a super simple thing like this. It was trying to be discreet, but he knew exactly what it was, and he'd like tip his cap to me, and then he'd fix his body language. So we started practicing that, right? And no one knew what was going on. It was between me and him, but he really got over that. Oh, especially like through those years and stuff. And so those things are learned behaviors. And so you can work with your kid to do things, but you got to have the talk and understand why it matters too, right?
Hmm.
Like yelling at him isn't going to do it. Like I never understand yelling in baseball, to be honest with you.
Yeah, yeah. I still don't get it. I still don't get
Hey,
it.
coaches, I'm like,
Yeah. One thing that I had that conversation earlier with that parent, and we were talking about select baseball. It's their first year. They're going to go into it, and I told them there was two things that I always brought up to the coach, whoever he played for. I always brought up two things. I said, you can play him or not play him and coach him however you want, but two things that I expect: you're not going to yell at my kid, and you're not going to cuss at him.
yeah,
There's no need for those things, because when
not helpful.
when you yell at somebody, whether you're an adult or a kid, they shut down.
Yeah.
The brain receives that as a threat, and so they're either going to fight or flight. So, yelling in baseball, I don't get it. They don't do it in the big leagues. So
No, 'cause
why do 10-year-old coaches feel like they have to
so
yell the kid into doing something? So
the
I
only
don't get
person
that.
that's effective to yell at is the umpire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Um,
that's the only way you show up. Yeah.
it, I think in football, I see football kind of differently. I mean,
Hmm.
football is so much about strength, size, speed, and
Intensity.
effort,
Yeah.
intensity and effort. And I do think, I mean, my middle son was a great high school middle linebacker, and I knew his coach would yell at him, but he always had the "I love you" side too,
Hmm.
right? Because effort in football almost always makes you better.
Yeah.
Whereas in baseball, actually, more effort can actually hurt you.
Yes.
Like effort isn't the thing.
Hmm.
It's just a different sport, man. Like this is a skill sport, and so we have to have focus. We have to calm our breathing down. We
Hmm.
have to forget any consequence to what we're doing, and we're trying to do something really hard. Hit that little round ball that's
Hmm.
moving and changing speeds and stuff like that. So it just, I it's very rare that I see a coach yell at people in baseball and think, "Oh, good job, man." But I love, on the other hand, and it can just be body language.
Hmm.
Like I see, when a kid looks, you can tell when a kid's about to, strike one, strike two, they're wound up. They're so sped up. They are not calm and in sync with the pitch. Like it's going to happen. They're going to strike out. And I saw a coach the other day, opposing high school coach, and it was a big at bat. And this kid was headed that direction for sure. Like it was almost no doubt this kid's going to strike out. He calls time. He walks down. He puts his arm around him, and I knew exactly what he was doing because I happen to know this guy too.
Hmm.
And his dad was one of my little league coaches, and I'm like, he's calming this kid down right now. Sure enough, that kid walks into the box with a different demeanor, totally slowed down, totally back in the moment. Base hit to right field, huge moment in the game. And I was like, that's coaching right there in baseball. Realizing what that mind space is in that kid's head and
Hmm.
going, I've got to step in here and help this kid.
Yeah.
Not not look like, oh man, you're screwed. I
Hmm.
know what's coming. And that's the norm that I see.
Yeah.
But it takes a real baseball coach understands they're as much psychologist as anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's like, can I keep these kids' heads in the right place to let their skill come through?
Hmm.
Because they're not obviously trying to fail. Who's out there trying to fail? Nobody.
Hmm.
I don't think. And it's kind of like so much of, and I think that applies to parents as well. Like, like if you can't deal with the failure, I mean, it's gonna be tough to like it's as much for you to learn how to deal with the failure when you're watching youth baseball as it is for the kid. So you better learn too what that even means. And like
Hmm.
you've said it, one of the easiest, biggest things, easily, if I could just leave a tip with any youth baseball parent, would be learn to redefine success at the plate as forget what the scorebook says, forget what the result was, hit or not, which is the big one. It is simply, well, what produces a hit? Usually, hitting the ball hard is your best way to do it. Okay. Do we do that? Yeah. Be happy. You're making
Exactly.
progress.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy to do, but once you practice doing this and playing games with that and redefining success and simplifying things at the plate is like, did I swing at a pitch that I wanted and I'm happy with what I swung at? Did I barrel it? Or did I do it? I mean, Ian Kinsler, man, I think there's 18 different ways to have a positive
About. Mm-hmm.
quality at batting average and things like that. There are all kinds of ways to help your team at the plate. Um, that's easily the biggest one because obviously, I mean, defense is stressful too, depending on what your kid plays, but offense is obviously the most stressful thing. And I don't like it when I see, like I'm in my own kid, if my own kid gets a blooper single and he has a horrible swing and a horrible pitch, I don't want him happy. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because that tells me, I mean, it's great. It's thank you, baseball guys, but because we're gonna get our line drives caught too. But it's not, it just shows me that you're not focused on the right thing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that the result is so sacred
Yeah.
that you're living and dying by it. And that's where you get the kid that comes home, 2 for 3 or 2 for 4, and they're super happy and everybody's best friend. But then the next day they're 0 for 4 and they slam the door and they don't want to talk to anybody and they're just not they're not a fun human to be around.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you don't want to be. And that usually means you're focusing on results. And in baseball, that means you can be really good, and 70% of the time, you're going to be not fun to be around.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's that's just no way to live, right?
Yeah.
And it's not, you got to think about the other people that you're around. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I know this too, because I was that kid in high school. I mean, in college, like I was very results oriented and I was not fun to be around when I failed, which was
Mm-hmm.
a lot. So I know because I was that kid. And
Yeah.
so I spot it. I mean, I can spot it in kids, maybe on the high school team that, and I'll kind of mentor them on the sides because I know what they're going through. I know how it feels. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just changing how your brain works and what it thinks about. And it can really, I mean, it's way more important than the mechanics. Usually kids fail at the plate and they start looking for a mechanical fix. And it's like, there's no mechanical problem here, man. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's just on in here and how you're framing it. So man, why do we play baseball again? I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that. I mean, it's the ultimate thing in baseball is to go, and we have a thing in our family, I think. It's not like I preach it or write it on the wall, but it's like I tell people I don't want my kids to have like an easy life. I don't want their house to burn down, but it did. And they were super resilient about it. But
Yeah.
it's like I want them to do hard things.
Mm-hmm.
We don't learn anything through comfort, through not failing. So the best thing you can do for yourself to grow as a human, which I guess is your job, I think, is
Mm-hmm.
do hard things.
Yeah.
Um, and you're going to be better for it. So hey, if baseball is one of those things, take it on as like, thank you for that. This is hard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why. And then ultimately too, just remember, like when you do you hit a grand slam in a big moment or you something, man, you'll feel all that, like you'll remember all that hard stuff that you went through. And it's like, that's really what it's about, man. Overcoming all the hard stuff to have those moments that do pay you back.
Yeah.
But um, help you be resilient for whatever you're going to face in the future. So, I
Yeah.
mean, Ian Kinsler, Ian Kinsler, as great as he was, he played till he was 38. And I remember I was there when you retired, and I'm like, you're a puppy. You're a
Mm-hmm.
38-year-old human. You have
Yeah.
all the rest of your life to live. So, I mean, baseball's just not going to last forever, man.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're great. So, I hope you're have a, it's, just separating your identity from the fact that I'm just doing this to mold myself into whatever I'm going to be later on is a great way to go.
Yeah. 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 Just that's baseball is about. I think one of the things I've preached to my kids when it comes to sports is the outlook that you have in the game is going to dictate whether you're miserable or not. Two things that I always told my son about approaching the game. When you're on offense, when you're hitting, your job is to contribute to the offense. Get on base however you can. Hits, walks, get hit by a pitch, whatever. So if he contributes to the offense, he had a good day. You know, it wasn't about hits or not. So on offense, contribute to the offense. On defense, know what to do with the baseball. When it's hit to you, know what to do. And if you do that, then you had a successful day. The results on the other things, you know, that's a result of that. If you approach your hitting, hey, I want to contribute to the offense, I want to contribute to the score, then you can do it many different ways. On defense, if I catch the ball the right way and I know what to do and I throw it to the right base, I hit the cutoff man, I did the right thing. And the same thing with life. I want them to be a contributor. I want them to be able to contribute to whatever they're into. If you're in the classroom, if you're at church, if you're whatever, if you're a contributor, you're going to get results.
Yeah.
If you know what to do, if you have an idea of what you want to do with the situation, then you're going to be successful. You know what to do. And so, but those things take practice. There's a lot of swings. There's a lot of ground balls you take, and but to put it simply, if you redefine success by in a certain way that you know that they can succeed whether they get results or not, that's a good game. That's a good life. And so that's very important. It's just to redefine what success is and what it isn't. And so that I think that if you do it, you get more wins that way than not, because hitting 300 is still getting out 7 times, 70% of the time. So if I get out, but I contributed to the offense, I drove the guy in, and if I moved the runner over, those little things, I contributed to the offense. I didn't get a hit, but I contributed. So those are successes for me.
No, and as a parent, gravitate towards the other parents and the fans that actually see it that way, because they'll be few and far between.
Yeah.
And help other parents start to think that way. It's tough to do, but it's kind of like, we all learn from each other. But like if you're with parent, you can feel the tension in the stands, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all boils down mostly to result the kid's future.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can always justify that they do to some extent, but they don't. I mean, no one at bat defines anybody. And it's just kind of like, it's just more making sports, and especially baseball, more enjoyable to be a part of as a parent and a kid. Like, I can't emphasize any more the results oriented thinking. It doesn't mean you don't want, someone say, oh, it's soft. I'm like, no, it actually is a way to win. Like, you got to be free and loose to win.
Mm-hmm.
There's kids from other countries that I find play much more naturally that way. I think because they have much more perspective and understand how much more difficult life can be.
Mm-hmm.
They play free and loose on the field, man, and they treat it as a game, and they will beat your ass because they're playing at their freest ability, and you're over there playing with the weight of the world on your shoulders, And we're good at we're good in America as a culture at creating that scenario that we all pro athletes, that we all got to go D1, that we got to be on the right select team, that it's just like we put so much on ourselves, and it's like you realize the trick to it all is like focusing small and focusing on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Baseball is all about what's that ball doing, and it's kind of like we're doing everything but focusing on that ball, and when it's all we really need to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if anybody gets anything out of today, I would say, for sure, results oriented thinking, but don't expect your kid to do it if you can't do it. Be the example. Like, car ride home, right? The classic car ride home is mostly just shut up. And then learn to let the kid come to you and ask questions. And when you do talk, kind of, don't go, man, you went 0 for 4. No, like point something out point out the small things that they may not even be thinking about that they did good,
Mm-hmm.
Man, hammered that ball right there. That was a great swing. Like, start to think on the smaller things and talk and make the conversation about the smaller things that they did well. But don't be shy of the things that I got pretty good with this one about starting to notice patterns on things that would tell me, hey, we need to work on that.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you just ignore those things, you're not going to get better at those things. So maybe like defense, there was things on defense for sure. There were certain plays that I was like, okay, there's some repetitive failure in this kind of thing. Well, you can't ignore it, but you can say, hey, what do you think we go work on this kind of thing? And he really learned that. I mean, I'm not saying he's Michael Young, but it's like, hey, I can take something that I'm failing at and go work on it and repeat and work and work and work and then be better at it. It's just a process. That's I think when we say focus on the process, we don't know all the time what that means, but it can mean that. It's just like I can go. That's the cool thing about baseball. No one can keep you and dad from going up to the field or park and working on
Mm-hmm.
something on your own time. And that is what you really need to do as a baseball player. You need to learn to coach yourself. And so you definitely can help your son doing that, but you can't do that if you don't kind of approach them about, hey, could I help you work on that right there? Because I mean, it'd be cool to be able to just nail that. Yeah. And then once they do it a couple times, then they believe you. And then it becomes what they do naturally. It's like, oh, I failed at this. That means that's an opportunity to get better at that part of my game and check that box and boom, And I think that's why my son has worked his way into something that a college coach says, hey, I think I want this. I think I can work with that.
Mm-hmm.
We wouldn't be here without those things,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
You have to always be growing as a baseball player. I don't care. I have no doubt in my mind, as good as Bobby Witt Jr., that well, actually, I know because I know his infield coach. And you would think best in the game. Nah, he's out there this winter with this infield coach, continuing to learn new aspects of how he can evolve his game. And it's like, that's why he's great.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to understand, but you would think it really is. Like, it's so much about parents make it so much about talent and, or results.
Yeah.
And it's just like, not, it's always learning
Yeah.
mentality.
All right. So as we start wrapping this up, I kind of want to go over a few questions to kind of leave people with your thoughts on some of these things. So number one, what's one thing that all parents should stop doing?
I have to be careful how to say this.
No, I know. This is a good one.
I got in trouble on a podcast the other day for mentioning a certain scorekeeping system.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to generalize and say, really do stop looking at the scorebook. You'll thank yourself. Use your eyeballs to think about your son or daughter's trajectory, and they're always developing. And the goal in every game, and they're not gonna get better each game. They're gonna have better, and then they're gonna get worse, and then they're gonna get better. It's like, forget the scorebook and the hits and the airs and the this and that, and just watch the game and start to train yourself to look for those details that show you progress. Understand what progress looks like is harder, but stop looking at the results, the scorebook, and look at the progress that they're making with their skills, and just focus on and also, and the part B of that would be easily stop comparing your kid to other kids. Is the worst part. It's going to cause you the most stress. I mean, that old saying, comparison is the thief of joy, I think it is. That's true.
Yeah.
Because people don't realize that not every kid's developing at a different rate at a different time. I mean, they grow at different paces. So if you're going to make it about comparing your kid to other kids, you're going to be miserable. So those two things would be hugely helpful if you could do them. And I wish that I had started doing those things earlier, and then I was perfect at it. But those two things.
Okay. What about one thing they should all do?
One thing they should always do.
Yeah. All parents should do this.
I mean, the thing that came to my mind was, however you do it, tell them you love them, show them you love them, show them that their value isn't based on what they're doing on the field easily. So that otherwise, I mean, if they think that their approval comes from that, talk about pressure. So do always show that you care about them beyond the result, what they're doing.
All right. And last one. One thing players need to understand. At least one thing that all youth players should understand.
I'm trying to think of something that's not redundant. Because I mean, I think probably that
Yeah, we've
comparison.
touched on a lot of things anyways, but
The comparison thing, parents do it and kids compare themselves to others. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
say that, that one, but I'm trying to give you something new. Man, I mean, just that maybe the next thing that came to my mind was just that you're in control of your habits. They don't, and that habits, most things come through repetition and identifying what habits that you can do that can make you better, but realizing that it doesn't happen instantly, but it's the consistency of those habits. So like the earlier they perform, the earlier they form good skills at building habits and going, I want to get better at that, so I'm going to do this every day or
Mm-hmm.
this every week or whatever. I mean, that would be that's a very teachable thing,
Mm-hmm.
but I think kids also need to understand more quickly understand how important it is. Because I mean, we are our habits, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't even imagine where I'd be in my life without
Mm-hmm.
ability. I'm pretty good for whatever reason at deciding, oh, I'm gonna do this, so I'm gonna do XYZ. And then I'm in for the grind of it, and don't expect it to be easy and then be okay with that. So
Yeah, a lot of kids, they want it, but there's a
yeah.
lot that goes into wanting something, and sometimes they realize, oh wait, that's going to take a lot of work, and so sometimes that stops them. So, man, this is awesome. This chat. The reason I want to do these kind of chats with dads is because this is not about baseball. For me, this is about leaving a legacy,
Mhm.
and to point out that the most important, in my opinion, the most important part of baseball and those dads that are lucky enough to have a son that plays, and it's about the relationship that you foster with your kid, and the skills that he's gonna get from the game of baseball. The purpose of baseball is not to make it to the big leagues. For me, is coming out a better man from having played the game of baseball. So to me, that's
Yep.
that's that's what it's all about. Just become a better man through the game of baseball, and hopefully, when it's all said and done, and your son is older and he's in the clubhouse in the big leagues, and he's telling his teammates, "Hey, my dad taught me how to do this." Hopefully that
Yes.
happens, but if it doesn't, hopefully your son becomes out a better man from this whole experience. So I want to thank Ben, and obviously, War Stick, awesome, great product. Follow them, everybody. The brand is out there. My son swings nothing but War Stick, and so I really want to give some shout out to War Stick. They're good company, good friends, and so once again, guys, this is Jose Vasquez for Baseball Strong. Thanks for joining. Until next time. Good.
Was a wrap.
Oh.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate
Man,
your
that was
time.
awesome.